welcome to episode 6 of Huddle Up. We are here today with our special guest, the one and only Zach Zulli. Zach, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no problem at all. Thank you.
You got Rob Clark in the chair also. I figured this would be perfect. Quarterback with quarterback. We'll get some good insights here from Rob and Zach. We want to mention our sponsor, Maxie's. Rob has a specific prop for today, the Maxie's prop. And we appreciate them supporting the program. And also keep in mind, spring games coming up in the reunion. So hopefully we can get a lot of guys out to the reunion, raise some money for this football program. All right, let's jump into it with Zach. Zach, so I have to admit, don't know a ton about you other than, some of the things I've read about you. But one of the things that really stood out when I read about you was that you were a wide receiver your redshirt freshman year.
Yeah.
Roster. You weren't even a quarterback in the depth chart.
Yeah. So actually...
Give me that story.
Yeah. So my first year, I was a quarterback coming in. So I never was not. But I wasn't able to start. So I was like, you know what, Coach Reese, because Rocky Reese was my coach at that time. I'm like, hey, let me do something else. I'll do whatever it takes to be on the field. So I was a backup receiver. I was a backup running back, backup quarterback, backup tight end, because we were still in the wing T. And then I also started kick return and started punt return that year. And I was the returner for both of those things. So it was kind of nuts. Yeah.
In high school, you were a quarterback though, right?
Yeah. So I played quarterback and then I played safety and corner also for defense. So I was just quarterback strictly on offense. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to use my talents and my athletic ability and try to get on the field.
So Zach, you had this, amazing, prolific career at Ship. A lot of accomplishments, a lot of awards. What stands out most in your mind for those years? And I know there's a bunch. We kind of joked about it before we started recording, and the numbers are just astronomical. But to you personally, what stands out to you as like the biggest accomplishment?
I have a few things that I've done. Obviously winning the Harlon Hill was unbelievable.
Sure. The only winner ever from Ship.
Yeah.
That's fantastic.
That was a big team effort in general. It wasn't just me. I mean, we had an outstanding year that year. But the core memory for that season was beating Bloomsburg in that playoff game in the last second of the game. So 6 seconds left. We were at the 5-yard line. And I just remember scrambling to the right. And I saw Brian Barley covered, and I back shoulder threw him, and he caught it in the back of the end zone. And I just remember running down the entire Bloomsburg sideline screaming, "We did it! We did it! We did it!" And then we were on for the second round of the playoffs. So I think that was the greatest accomplishment I've ever had. I think it was the most core memory that I ever will have. It was insane. And the stadium had probably 15 to 20,000 people there. There was people lined up on the fences. So like it was crazy. It was crazy.
I think you'll remember that for the rest of your life. You can tell just by the way you talk about it and the passion you have for it. That's great.
Yeah. It was fun.
You two quarterbacks were talking about another game though before we started recording this. I want to hear that story, the Kutztown game.
Game. 581 yards. He was 46 for 61. I can't even imagine throwing 61 passes in a game. I don't think we ran 61 plays in a game.
Sore shoulder.
Yeah. So I think the first half was a run and shoot game. It was back and forth. We probably had like 25 plays on offense. We scored on like 3-play drives, 1-play drives, 4-play drives, 3-play drives, and it just kept going back and forth. But it was just like run and gun the entire time. Trevor Harmon and Jacob Baskerville had like literally the greatest games of their entire career. I think Harmon had 18 catches for 188 yards and then 5 touchdowns. And then, he had 288 yards and 5 touchdowns.
Amazing.
And then Jacob Baskerville had, I think, 12 catches for 144 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Wow.
So both those receivers had like career games, and it was easy. I mean, it was literally like, I was just like dinking and dunking, and it was all over the place, but we really didn't run the ball. We didn't have to. Wow. We would have one pass play and it'd go for 75 yards, or one pass play and go for 50 yards. And it was just back and forth. And Kutztown was good that year. Kutztown was really good. They had a guy named Kevin Morton, and he was insane. He was like just right behind me in the Harlon Hill.
Wow.
He was like top 8. He was
Wow.
like, he probably had 45 touchdowns that year, and I just happened to have 54 that year. So he was right there, and Kutztown was good that year.
Yeah, when I saw that number today, I had trouble wrapping my head around that. 54 touchdown passes in a season.
Yeah.
123 in his career, but 54 in a season. I knew it was a lot. I didn't realize it was 54.
Zach, when this team came together, and I know you had a good year, you had a good year junior year too. When this team came together, did you see the potential? I know, I always talk about our 81 team because I like to brag. And I have to admit, I think we drank a glass of champagne when you guys lost a game that year, and the 81 guys. But we didn't really think, we didn't know what we had, and all of a sudden the season kind of progressed. Did you guys know what you had there, do you think?
So having Mike Yursich there was such a game changer. We went from the wing tee to throwing like maybe 20 times a game to throwing 45 times a game. So just the way that he went into the offensive game plan every game, we were like perfection. Perfection was the only thing we did. Practice was number one. If you did not complete the pass, you had to do it again. If you ran the wrong route, you had to do it again. If you blocked the wrong scheme, you had to do it again. So like it was all about perfection in practice, and it showed on the field. So my junior year, we really were just starting to get into this because it was a brand new offense, and we still went 7-4, and we broke all of these records at Shippensburg, but we did not fully accomplish what we needed to accomplish. Like we should have won more games that year. And it was a struggle because that was my first year starting. That was our first year having Trevor Harmon. That was my first year having Jacob Baskerville. Like we were all just clicking. And then the next year, everyone grew so much more. After that 4-game win streak at the end of my junior year, we went on a rampage and won 10 straight my senior year. And we were just clicking. So we knew what we had. We knew what we had coming back too, which helped. I mean, our team was a stud my senior year. I mean, every single player from left to right was unbelievable. And then our whole defense was back that year. So like we were like, holy hell, we have this team, and this is going to be our chance to really do something.
Yeah.
When you do have that kind of success, you kind of think back to some of the key contributors. And you mentioned a couple of guys. Like I remember Harmon when he was in high school because he's local.
Yeah.
Were there any other like key players, or was there anything that kind of contributed to that success, locker room stuff or whatever that you could share with us just to give us a little bit of insight? Because I didn't have a chance to win 10 games in a row. That sounds like a lot of fun. You guys,
it was actually 14 because we won the 4 before that.
Right.
So we had a 14-game win streak at one point. Yeah, that was crazy. And then we lost to IUP, which sucked. Yeah, always IUP.
I always hate them too.
Yeah. So Trevor Harmon, Jacob Baskerville. We had a couple key roles with Fournette and Harron. And then our offensive line stayed healthy all year. I just remember Bob Mullen. He was pulling left and right. He reminded me of who is it? Jason Kelsey. He'd be able to pull. He was a smaller guy, but he would pull and he was fast. He would get out in the screens. He'd make sure that everything was happening and getting, to the corners or the safeties. But like, I think everything just clicked, honestly. I think that team was like unbelievably like confident, and we were making big catches. We were making huge plays. We were running the ball well. We were blocking. We were not causing penalties. Like, the team just gelled that year more than it's ever gelled. So the key components are really just, Harmon, Baskerville, Fournette, Harron, our whole offensive line. Our whole offensive line was unbelievable. And then like Jake Metz and like my whole starting D-backs, all my D-backs were back from the year before. Like, I mean, everybody. And we were so inspirational too. I don't know if you guys remember Corey. Corey passed away my super senior year. He actually had cancer, and that year we were playing for him, and so much stuff happened that year. It was insane. It was insane.
I realized too that Coach Mack took over after Rocky, and then you had Yursich in there.
Yep.
That changed the offense. And what was, that was Mac's first year of coaching. What was that like, having Mac as a coach and Mike there as your OC?
So Mac actually kept me there. So I was ready to transfer my sophomore year. So after the wing tee, I didn't know if Rocky Reese was going to be there or not. And Coach Mack came up to me after one of our morning runs and was like, listen, I'm going to try to get this job. If I get this job, I need you to stay. So I was looking at like Millersville. I was looking at like local schools, like just in general. And he sat me down and was like, dude, I want you to play. I'm bringing in an offensive coordinator that's going to be here, and he is going to run spread, and they're going to want you. And I was like, all right, I'm going to give it one more chance.
But he saw it in you. Max saw it in you?
He saw it in me right away because he saw me throw. I was a very young quarterback. And, I was very like outgoing and wanted to win and all this stuff. I wanted to do everything for the team no matter what. I even asked to play defense. So like I tried everything just to get on the field, and Max saw that. But he knew that I was a quarterback at heart because the way that I throw the ball. Because I was playing scout team quarterback every single day. So like I was going against their starting defense. So Mac would see me torch them up and be like, okay, this is what we need to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very happy that I stayed. It was probably the best decision of my life, when I was in college. And, it really, helped me.
I think that leads us to something kind of off script a little bit here, but with the transfer portal changing everything in college football, I think that story kind of epitomizes, guys, give it a shot. Like, don't leave right away because you don't know what doors will open. Because let's be honest, your career at Ship ended up being historic. You were the most outstanding quarterback in Ship's history, and you almost left. Like, I don't know. I'm frustrated a little bit, you can tell, with the transfer portal, and I understand it. I get it, and it does create opportunities for kids, and I'm all for that. But kids need to be a little bit more patient. And give the program a chance. And I think you are a great example of that.
Well, they also didn't have the transfer portal at this time. So if I would have transferred, that would be my only time.
Right.
So I couldn't have transferred every other year.
Like now you can. Right.
Yeah. And I probably would have had to sit out a game or two. That's how it was back then. Right. So I don't actually know. The only reason why I was going to transfer, because I felt like I was not going to play at all at this school because they were running the wing tee. And if the wing tee came back, there was only one quarterback that was playing that. And then as soon as Mac took over, I was like, oh man, I'm back in. Mm-hmm. Like I'm ready to compete again. Because my competitive edge, I wanted to play as a freshman. I felt like I could have beat out Chad DeFebo, which was the quarterback at the time that won a championship. They were unbelievable that year. Mm-hmm. They was so much fun to watch in 2009. But I knew I had to wait my turn. I was a skinny little thing. I wasn't working out as hard, and I knew I needed to put in the work.
But you've got to have that kind of killer mindset too. You got to be so confident in yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't doubt yourself at all, or you're just not. Yeah. It's too challenging a game.
Yeah.
So Rob and I talk all the time. D2 is you got some serious competition on the other side of the ball when you're playing.
I 1000% agree. I think a lot of D2 schools can beat D1 schools, and I'm not even kidding.
Yeah. I think your team could have. I think that team could have done some damage.
I was looking at like teams in the FCS, and like we could probably beat like a Villanova. We could probably beat like a Harvard. We could probably beat like a Penn. Mm-hmm. Like there's no doubt in my mind that an 11-2 team could have beat all of those teams. Yeah. Hands down. Mm-hmm. We would have easily competed with them. If we were healthy completely, like going through the playoffs, we would have been fine. We would have probably won every game. But we had Harmon was banged up a little bit. Our left tackle was out a game. I think I was slightly concussed at one point. But just in general, like we were a little banged up towards the end of the season. Mm-hmm. That's the reason why I think we didn't make it completely. Yeah. And we also faced probably the greatest team I've ever seen.
Yeah. A couple of my friends went down to watch that game, and they said they couldn't believe that team you guys went up against. Who was it? I forget.
Winston-Salem.
They were huge, apparently.
So they were Division I about 3 years before we played them. Mm-hmm. And I just remember them taking a bubble screen to the right. Okay. This short kid, probably the fastest kid I've ever seen. He looked like Tyreek Hill. I'm not even kidding. He takes a bubble screen to the right. No one is blocking for him. I promise you, not a single soul. Okay. He cuts back all the way left around the quarterback, all the way back to the left sideline, runs at 85 yards untouched.
Oh man.
No juke, no nothing. He just cut back and went all the way down the left sideline. I couldn't believe it. It was insane. Fastest kid I've ever seen.
Wow.
Ever. Yeah.
All right. So Zach, with the success your team experienced and the support that the alumni gave, can you kind of tell us, because that's obviously one of the goals of Red Raiders for Life, is to get the alumni involved, to try to help the team out. What do you think is the significance of the alumni's role and trying to help our current team get back on the winning track?
I think a lot of people don't know Shippensburg at all. So I think having our alumni support everybody on the team and making sure that we're getting people that go to Shippensburg, I think is key. I think just people showing up and understanding that Red Raiders for Life is going to be a thing for the next 100 years. Like, we need to make sure that everyone knows about it. So I think a lot of people just don't know about it, and that's the thing. And the more that we spread the word, the easier this is going to be. And then Shippensburg will be well known again. So I really do think that you guys are doing a fantastic job bringing people in and just, doing every little thing possible to just get our name out there and get our school out there and support the teams that are out there. And I think that will help get the players to Shippensburg and also get us more scholarship money for Shippensburg. So the more that we do, even just a text message or an email is going to help us succeed at Shippensburg.
Cool. Yeah.
I think the one challenge we have right now is keeping kids there because of the transfer portal, because of some of the other things that are out there. So hopefully, or bumping up to Division I if there is on NIL money or anything like that. So I agree with you 100%. We need everybody to be involved and do this as a family, get these kids to stay once we get them there.
Now, I feel like in Division II, I don't think we're having the problem with the NIL deals, but we are having a problem with just scholarship money in general.
Oh yeah.
So I don't think it's exactly like, oh, we're going to transfer every other year at Division II. Division II is more of like, you're a homebody. You're not going to transfer unless you're not playing. Like, you're not going to be Division II and go to Division I. You're going to be Division I and go down to Division II because you're not playing enough. So I don't think we'll have the problem exactly with 50, 60 transfers in 1 year, but I think that we need to learn how to get 50, 60 freshmen in. Yeah. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the more that we get the freshmen to come in, the longer they will stay, the bigger the team will be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mac did that last year. He brought in whatever it was, 40 new young guys. And
it was
that's fantastic.
Yeah, he did. He brought in a huge class, but we also knew we were going to be very young.
Yep.
And we were. So jumping ahead here a little bit or into the current day, you have a baby, got married.
Yep. I have an 8-month-old baby daughter.
Nice.
Yep. Her name is Madison Marie.
Nice.
She was born in May last year. And I am married. I'm currently married. I've been married for 1.5 years. We got married in September of 2022, right, honey? 2023. 2023.
Like me, man.
Don't forget that date.
Yeah, 1.5 years though. 1.5 years. I do know that. And then so we're living on the shore in Jersey. We live in Belmar, New Jersey. We bought a house 3.5 years ago, and we absolutely love it. I'm currently working at the Atlantic Club, which actually just got taken over by Genesis. If you've heard of Genesis before. They're more of like a Midwest kind of gym. And then I'm just a personal trainer, and I'm coaching football on the side. So like I'm trying to do a little bit of everything, trying to keep that passion still alive. My wife doesn't always like it, but I need to keep the passion there. If that
you're still young. Yeah, you're still young. It's still in you.
I don't feel it though. I don't feel young at all. All those damn hits I took, freaking playing professionally, and then all college. It was a lot.
What did you play for a while professionally after you left Ship?
So I was playing for 2 years. So I actually went to Seattle. I played in Seattle until like summer camp, and I got cut. So I was getting the crap beat out of me by the Legion of Boom. That was insane.
My goodness.
Yep. So that was a lot of fun. And then I went to Montreal, and I was in Montreal for the Alouettes for a little bit. And then I played in Lehigh for an arena team took them to the championship. That was pretty cool. And then I played semi-pro in Lehigh also, and I tore my ACL, and then I became a trainer.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, so like I've played every division and every professional league, and then tearing my ACL, it's over.
That's
So
good though. You got the most out of it, man. You got a lot out of it.
tried.
What was it like? What was it like to work with Pete Carroll?
That was awesome. I didn't really see him too much.
No.
So rookie mini camp is a little different. He's just there to like talk. He's not coaching that much when he's there.
Gotcha.
It's more of like I forget his name, but the quarterback's coach was like my guy, and he was like the only guy that I really talked to, and the offensive coordinator. Dan Quinn was there too at the time, which is kind of cool. Yeah, so he's taking Washington to an NFC championship game.
Yeah.
But it was insane. And Pete Carroll is a winner at heart. I mean, first thing that we came in there, we were all playing basketball, right? So they have a basketball court inside of the conference room, right? And it's just, all right, quarterback versus quarterback. You have 5 shots. Whoever has the 5 shots, you're starting practice today. Like, that's how it was. So, like, everyone was competing at all times. It was all about winning. And that was also the year after they won the Super Bowl. So they won the Super Bowl in February.
Wow.
So I was there in May. It was awesome.
Wow.
Awesome.
Everybody talks about the speed going from, college to pros and all that. Can you talk about that a little bit? What was that adjustment like going from, ship to there?
So I thought I was a fast quarterback at the time.
Yeah.
I ran a 4.7. So I wasn't that slow. I just remember the DNs being faster than me. That's never happened.
Yeah.
And the corners would break on balls that I would throw like freaking 5 seconds ahead of time, and they would get deflected. And I'm like, how the hell did they do that? But they are so regimented on knowing the play. Like, they know the play before it even happens. So they know that guy's breaking at 15. They know that guy's breaking across the field at 10. Like, they were jumping routes before I even like threw the ball, if that makes sense. Yeah. But the speed is insane. Insane.
Yeah.
I think that's a part a lot of people don't understand is the different, even from, Division 3 to Division 2, Division 2 to Division 1, and then to get a chance to play at the pro level. I think, a lot of people that didn't play the game don't realize most of those guys, they're freaks. They are unique individuals with abilities that, let's be honest, a lot of us don't have it. And you had it, and you still are like, wow, these kids were different.
So even just our offensive line, like our offensive line was averaging 325 pounds. And I'm like, God, I've never had an offensive line that had 325 pounds. Like, even in high school, my high school average was like 200 pounds across the line.
Yep.
I had one guy at 255.
Yeah.
Like, and in college, I think my biggest guy was Tim Latham, and he was probably 315. So like, but they're averaging 325 and 6'5". So like,
and they can move,
and they can move. They are freaks. They're squatting 700 pounds in the gym, and I'm like, I'm watching. I'm like, what the hell? These guys are freaks of nature.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's insane.
What's it like being a coach now as you're coaching guys? What age are you coaching? Who is it?
So I coach varsity high school.
Yeah.
Yep. So I coached at Wall the last 2 years. I coached at Hal the year before that. I've been just a quarterbacks coach or offensive coordinator, and it has been fantastic.
Yeah.
It like helps me get my little passion out of the way, if that makes sense.
Oh yeah.
And I love seeing these kids get better.
Yeah.
So that's a big tool. And I just, I have a couple kids that have gone on and played, and it's been outstanding to see that.
That's cool.
Let me ask you, if you are the offensive, if you're an OC, do you use a lot of Ursich's offense, or because like he really, when that first started, the whole spread concept and some of the things, he was pretty early on. I mean, that's why Oklahoma State scooped him up, and that's why he traveled around to a couple other big schools.
Yeah.
Because the guy's good. Let's be honest, he's really good, and like you said, he's a perfectionist, and that's what you need to be in that offense. But the whole tempo concept and things like that, is that you? Is that your style?
So I use some of his stuff. I don't use all of it. I come up with my own plays too, but I do use some of the concepts like drive. I use this play called Sooner, which we use. I use his streak play where we do trips out of one side and you go up the hashes on one. But like terminology wise, it was roughly about the same. if that makes sense. Like,
Yeah.
but I also took a little bit from my high school. I took a little bit from when I coached at Archbishop Carroll. I took a little bit when I coached at Methacton. So like I tried to do like a little bit of everything and try to dumb it down for a high schooler. So that's the hardest part.
What and I got a question for you, Zach. Like during the season, as you guys started to build this momentum, especially coming out of your junior year, even, do you guys have any rituals or was there any routines that the team did or that you did that was kind of like a pregame hype, if you will, to get it going?
So I don't know if there was ever a pregame hype. I think it was more of a relaxed pregame. So this is actually a funny story, but me and my linemen, every time before a game would play this game called walking football. Okay. So 25-yard line from the numbers, or actually from the sideline to the hashes, that would be your field, 25 to the goal line. We would play 4-on-4. Okay. And it would be walking football. You would try to walk as fast as you possibly could.
Oh my
and
gosh.
all the linemen would play receiver and all the linemen would play D-backs. It was hilarious.
I was going to say that had to be comical.
It got so competitive at one point that we had people waiting on the sideline, like trying to get into the games. But we would be like sweating walking because we were literally going like hard as hell. Like it was hilarious. But you couldn't jump, you couldn't run, and you couldn't dive. So like there was a bunch of different rules. We had a different rule every time we played. But like you would have a blitzer too from 5 yards away, and they would just be like walking as fast as they could. It was the funniest thing ever, but it was literally the greatest warm up ever. Because like literally that was like a full warm up. Like we were.
Were you doing this before the game, or is this?
Yes. This is like so. Like
what did the other team think looking at this?
No, they wouldn't come out yet. That wasn't our like. So this was like pre-game. We would get our ankles taped and then we'd go right out as soon as possible. We'd be like in shorts and a t-shirt. But like it was so much fun playing with these linemen. These linemen were so funny because they would catch the ball and be like, I'm Tyreek Hill and stiff arming and stuff. Like, oh my God, it was great. It was so much fun. So much fun.
Well, thanks for joining us, man. You did a great job. It was great having you. Rob, thanks again, as always. 2 quarterbacks. And next week, we're going to have a lineman, so that'll be nice for me.
Finally, get a little balance.
We're going to have Jed Keller again next week on the show. And once again, we want to thank Maxie's for sponsoring us. Go ahead, Rob. Hit the cue. And we will we'll see you guys all in a week. Hope to see you all at the spring game. Hope to see you at the game next year, Zach. Thanks again.
Yeah, I'll be there. Don't you worry. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Zach.